Hi, this is Tony English, English Realty. Once again, I want to do a video and explain to you why right now is a good time to buy real estate. I'm not being selfish just because I'm a real estate broker, because actually I do mostly listings. I do buyers sometimes, but listings is my bread and butter. And I'm basically talking you out of listing your house. Unless you want to move up, this is a good time to move up and get a better house. Sell your house now and move up before what's going to happen in the future. So real estate has always been a good investment when you zoom out. When you look over time periods, it's a very good investment. But when you zoom in, obviously we have these ups and downs, and we had the 2008 crash, which is still in the mindset, the zeitgeist of the culture. Everybody has a fear of this another big crash happening, and that's been an anchor on the prices. While the prices have been going up, it's been mitigating the rise of properties, but they keep going up. But they go up for a number of reasons. One is, supply and demand, normal markets. There's more people, and immigrants coming in, and people always need a place to live. That's one reason. But the other reason I want to explain in this video is inflation. And inflation is a very subtle tax against your money, and people think during inflation that their house is going up in value a lot more than it really is. Actually, what's happening is the dollar is going down, and I want to explain that in this video, what's going on here. So the government has a goal of inflation of 2% per year, but really over time, when you look at it, it's really about 7% per year on an average. So I have a graph here that's going to show you what happens to your money when over a 10-year period of time when it goes up 7% per year. If you have cash in the bank, you're losing money. So, but what we have going right now is we have inflation happening, but the CPI is a deceptive indicator. It's a consumer price index. It's really just a selective bit of food and energy and housing, and it has a selective number of items in the basket that they're looking at. But this basket is not representative of the real situation. So what happens is when the money supply goes up, the price of assets go up, like gold, silver, houses, Bitcoin, because it's not really the value as much as the price. And smart money, big hedge funds and family trusts and everything put their money into assets, even like paintings and artwork, and these things are going up and up and like crazy in value, and not just value but price. So what we have to do is back up a bit and look at the economics of how this happens. So let's take a little sidetrack into what governments do. Throughout history, governments have inflated their currency. They'll use gold, they'll use silver, they'll use seashells, they'll whatever. And what happens is people always find a way to mess with it, and especially governments who want power. They promise you things and to get your vote and to get their respect. And so, the Romans had coins that they started mixing with less and less gold, less and less silver. And this has happened over many years, all through the history of mankind. And the government of the United States has a goal of 2% inflation. But really, 2% over time, it compounds against itself, and your money goes down in value. So what is money? Money is a store of value. It's your energy, your ideas, your time, your life. You store it into money so you can use it in the future, or to use it now for other items other than what you do. So you're spending your life for money, and money is something that you store for your future self. So when they inflate money away, they're stealing from you. They're taking your future self away. The work you did now becomes less and less valuable in the future. So even with a 2% CPI, you're still being robbed. So that's why it's important not to hold a lot of cash. Now, why does this happen? How does this happen? Well, the United States government has a number of ways where it inflates money. It taxes you. Taxing money is just a small part of what the money they spend. They can't afford to spend all the money they're spending on just tax. They have to do something else. So when they print money, how do they print money? Well, there's the Federal Reserve, that is a sort of quasi-governmental private bank that controls all the other banks. And what they do is they basically buy bonds from the Treasury. The Treasury just prints a bond and sells it to people, and they sell it to the Fed. And this, when they buy it when the Fed buys it from the Treasury, that money just goes into the system. And number two, banks create money. The Federal Reserve is the main bank, and then there's all these district banks and the banks under them. And when you put money in the bank, your money really isn't there. They're giving you a IOU. They promise to pay you back, but they get to lend out many multiples of what the money is that you put in the bank. So you put $1 million in the bank, they lend out 10 million, 20 million. They don't really have the money. So what happens in our economy is people borrow money, they hopefully make money from that money. They start a business, they do something, they take limited resources and they do something productive, and then they make a profit, and that profit goes back in the bank and it gets lent out. So the whole banking system is a big bubble. And when we have a recession, it means the bubble is shrinking, and when we have expansion, the bubble is growing. But what happens is the dollar supply just keeps going up and up and up, and the government needs to do this to keep the economy going. But let me show you some things, what's happened over the years. So if you look at if you put $100,000 in the bank, 10 years ago, I have a graph here that shows what it's worth. So that shows the inflation rate. And the government is now $35 trillion in debt. $35 trillion. And I want to show you a graph that shows how much that is per each taxpayer. And you look at from the 1940s to 2024, how the number that they owe per taxpayer has gone crazy. They're borrowing now money just to pay the interest. The interest is over $1 trillion per year on the money they borrowed, and they're borrowing money to pay the interest. $1 trillion that's more than what we spend on the military, more than we spend on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. It's one of the biggest items, if not the biggest item, on the budget for the United States of America. CPI is going crazy, and it's the real true rate of inflation is above that, and I'll show you a graph on that. I want to show you that the prices of houses, everybody thinks the prices of houses have gone crazy, and they're way too high, and they're waiting for them to come down. That's a big mistake. Let me show you, if you look at the price of houses in the form of commodities like gold and silver, the price of houses right now are at an all-time low. Now, on a dollar value, they're all-time high. But that doesn't matter because the dollar's gone down in value. Let me show you some graphs on the gold and silver to show you what the price of houses are in the commodities. Gold has been a store of value for 5,000 years, and it really reflects the actual value. If you bought a suit back in the 1940s, it would cost you, a really nice suit would cost you 1 ounce of gold. If you buy a really nice suit right now, it would be about 1 ounce of gold. So gold has shown that it stores the value equitably through all the ages, and so real estate is sort of like that. It has a value that stays that way. So I'm going to show you gold and silver, and then the people think, and the economists say, well, the dollar is very strong. You look at the dollar compared to all the other currencies in the world, and we look pretty good. We're gone up and up and up over the years. But that's because all the other countries are doing even worse than us. They're printing more and more money. They don't have as stable of a economy as we do. So when you look at the dollar compared to the franc and the yen and the yuan and all that, we look pretty good. But it's not true. We're in a domestic market here, and we have to compare it to ourselves. So I'm going to show you a graph on that. Now, I want to show you the global money supply has gone crazy, just like ours has. It's gone actually worse than ours. That's why the dollar looks good. I want to show you the money supply compared to the persons in the United States. So if you look at from the 1940s to 2020s, the amount of money per person has gone way, way up. And this is why inflation happens. Now, I want to show you a graph that shows the amount of debt that we have per taxpayer. And it's at an all-time high. The highest in history before was in during World War II. And then we got out of it. But now we're at 125% of our gross national product is our debt. So it's unsustainable. So what we're going to have happen in the future is we're going to have a huge dollar crash. Now, a lot of experts say that's not going to happen right now, but you're going to have to realize that there's no way out. The only way for the government to fix this problem is to default on the debt, which would crush so many people and family trusts and companies. It would cause a depression that we'd have to slowly grow out of. But that slow growth would probably take 10 or 15 years. That's actually the best option for America in the long run, that we could start over and we could pay our bills and we could be a solid country again. But they're not going to do that because the politicians don't want to get crushed. So what they're going to do is they're going to inflate their way out of this. They're going to just keep spending money. They're going to be buying more bonds, selling more bonds, and holding them on the balance sheet. It's going to go crazy, and it helps them too, because when they have high interest rates, they need to pay those rates. So they're going to just keep spending and spending and spending. I have a graph here that shows the balance sheet on the balance sheet on the Federal Reserve. It just keeps going up and up and up, and they keep buying. The Fed keeps buying bonds from the Treasury to just put more money, and there's just no way out. They're not going to do it any other way. So anyway, the important thing here to recognize is that real estate is a hedge against this inflation that's coming. The dollar is going to crash big time, and it's crashing now. We're in the middle of a crash. You're being robbed of your future value, and you need to store it somewhere. Buying gold is a good option. Buying silver, buying uranium, buying Bitcoin is very volatile, but in the future, Bitcoin is going to be a store of value. I would strongly suggest Bitcoin. But buying real estate is a super great way to save yourself for the future. And so if you want to buy or sell, invest in real estate, give me a call. I'd love to help you out. So if you have any questions, give me a call, and I'd love to talk to you. All right.